Richard Ashcroft. Check the meaning. He's from your neck of the woods, isn't he?
Wigan.
Yeah, we were just discussing
the fact how miserable and mean Carl is. He won't do anyone a favour.
Do favours. I shifted your telly.
Oh, hold on. He shifted my telly. I gave him a television. I gave him a bed. He went, I shifted your bed. No, I gave you a bed. That's how he couches things.
I cashed that bloody cheque you wrote to me.
Unbelievable.
Who's the last person you did a favour for where you weren't expecting something in return?
I'm always treating people. I've told you, if I have a good day, at the end of it, I'll go, do you know what? I'll treat them.
Treat who?
It might be a homeless fella. It might be some charity. I'm sick, honestly, the amount of money I give away
it might be a girlfriend
who
got a lovely new camera for Christmas, still wrapped up from when it was given to you as a leaving present.
So...
all this stuff about you're doing so much for charity. You honestly tell me, you think you're walking along, you're whistling, oh, I've had a great day, me. A, you never have a great day.
No, I've never seen you have a great day. It doesn't matter what, it's unbelievable. You're whinging all the time, miserable.
Yeah.
Nothing impresses you, nothing at all. The best I've ever heard you was, I was alright at that.
Well, tell us about the last time you had a great day. What was the last great day you had where you thought, oh, I must end this by giving some money to a homeless fella?
I mean, yeah, I don't have a great day. but what I mean is, a day when I go, do you know what? I'm quite content.
That's amazing!
It's a long way from a good day.
That is the equivalent of him skipping along.
No, every night before I nod off, I lie there, and I think, what sort of a day have I had? And I'll go through it, and I'll go, yeah, that was alright.
How boring is that?
No, it's good, you've got to do that, otherwise what was the point of the day? If you're never going to look back on it and go, what have I done? Yeah, that was alright. What's the point of it happening?
But how often do you go, wow, I've really achieved a lot today?
Because
I remember one day at random you told us, you'd been to the cobblers and back.
I didn't even know cobblers still existed.
Yeah, that was a 24-hour period we were talking about there. You kept a diary. It mainly consisted of, had a chip butty in a cafe with Suzanne. And then you talk about an old woman you saw.
No,
that was your day.
I've made it a thing that I do now, that I like to learn something every day, and then...
Go on, what have you learned today?
Well, I haven't done anything yet.
Brilliant.
But what I'm saying
What
is...
did you learn yesterday?
I've learned you're not a generous man. You're a mean bastard. You don't repay your
And that's
friends.
coming from Steve Merchant.
I'm just saying, as long as... I always think if you've learnt something, then the day's not been wasted.
Well, what have you learned yesterday? What have you learned yesterday?
It was the... What's it? Something you told me about the monkey arm.
Right, yeah. There's scientists have done the first brain robot interface. They've put like 100 electrodes on the part of the cortex that is for your motor system, and they put it on a monkey's brain, and through the power of thought he learned how to use a robot arm.
Wow. So
just by thought, just like you do your own arm.
Yep.
You know, and it took him a few days, not years. In a few days, this monkey was making this robot arm pick up grapes and put it in his own mouth through the power of thought. Right? Carl went, did he have his own arms? I went, yeah. He went, well, he's lazy then.
Don't you think it's a bit wasted on a chimp? One, what's it doing? All they ever do is eat or chuck shit about. So why give them a decent new robotic arm?
Well, who are you going to give it to?
I just mean give it to something that is going to get more use out of it.
What, a giraffe?
Right. No, something more... If they could link that up to a worm, I'd go, that's good.
Well, how could a worm think to use a robot arm?
Listen to me.
They can't think.
Hang on, I'd like to know. I'd like to know how this tiny
How do you know? How do you know? What I'm saying is, a worm's never had an arm.
You're a maniac! Think what you're saying! You wish a worm had an arm for a day!
No, all I'm saying is, if we're gonna faff about here and get animals giving them extra arms, don't...
They weren't giving a monkey an extra arm! They were testing this theory that they could make the first computer-brain interface. The thought went from the brain through a computer and made this arm work. That's incredible. The upshots are, you can really have bionic arms. You could have amputees having perfectly working dexterous limbs.
And your response to that is?
Give it to a worm.
I'd just say I'd be more... I'd sort of be fascinated about seeing it more. If they said, look at what the worm wants to do with an arm if it had one.
I honestly don't know how your brain works. I think we should give it to you and see what you do with the arm.
What? I tell you what.
How could a worm have an arm, Carl? It
wouldn't have an arm. The monkey didn't have an arm. It was a robot arm that they'd set up.
Right. Let me explain it like this. I wish they'd have picked something else. Maybe not a worm, but they always seem to do the tests on the wrong animals.
No, they do it on the closest thing to the human being they can.
I'll tell you what I read. You know, I say I like to learn something every
Yeah.
day and what have you.
Yeah.
A few weeks ago, it was about our worm. They've given it anti-aging cream.
Right.
When have you ever seen an old worm? How do we know if it's any good? I could not tell you the age of a worm. I've seen loads of them. Give it a tortoise.
Play a record.
Bob Dylan, Positively 4th Street.
I actually, Rick, was in Vietnam a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if this was thanks to your campaign, but I did pass somewhere. It was admittedly a European person, but as I passed, they went, "Oi, oi! Karl Pilkington's got a head like a f***ing orange."
That's amazing.
Which is lovely to see.
And
I've
that's
had
in-
it all the way around the world.
That's in Vietnam. What were you doing in Vietnam?
You know, just heard there was a war. Went over to see if that was wrapped up. They finished that a while ago.
So you've been to Vietnam. You went to
Popped down to Cambodia at the same time.
Cuba, yeah, Cambodia, Kenya. I was wondering, would you ever consider going to a holiday destination where you didn't have to have injections in the stomach to get in?
Well, you know what? I am an adventurer by spirit. I'm a sort of Indiana Jones figure, and plus someone was paying for it. We did it. Pardon me. We did it in high-class luxury.
Did you?
There was no slum in it. I felt a bit bad because I was worried that I wouldn't see the real Vietnam. But I did see the real Vietnam from the air-conditioned 4x4 that I was being driven to my 5-star hotel.
And what's it like?
It's great. It's really good. I mean, obviously, you know, the war was a long time ago, so they've got back on the, back on their uppers. I don't know what I mean by that, but anyway,
That's the other way around. If
yeah.
you're on your uppers, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
back on. Anyway, no, it's doing well. A lot of nice people, a lot of generous people. You know, obviously there's poverty.
Yeah.
There's a couple of things over there I think which would really intrigue you, Karl, and I think it's a great shame that you're not more adventurous as a traveller, because I think it would really open your eyes.
You're having a laugh. He has about 9 holidays a year.
He goes to the same place, doesn't he? Some rock in the Mediterranean.
Yeah, it's safe. I know
There's
Vietnam's
nothing there.
I know, but I don't sort of. What I've seen of Vietnam, I had a mate who went to somewhere like that. He showed me a picture. I had a picture of him walking round with a bag of locust that had been sold, and that's to eat.
Well, I did actually utter the phrase at one point, "Oh, I think that gecko's repeating on me."
That's what I mean.
So, I mean, I am quite exotic. I don't mind. I tell you what I didn't do, though, and I think I would fascinated to have seen you down there. There's a place in Vietnam, just outside of Hanoi, called Snake Village, right? And it is a long, long tradition in Vietnamese culture of eating snakes. In fact, one of the tourists even said, one of the guides actually said, "We will eat anything." And they eat snakes over there, and I'm not just talking about tiny little ones, I mean proper great big mammoth snakes, sometimes even king cobras, which I think may even be endangered in some parts of the world. And anyway, in Snake Village, you go over there. I didn't go because I was just a bit too squeamish. You sit down, they bring a great big snake, you choose it like you would a lobster, they bring you that snake, they sort of give it a bit of a demonstration, then they slit it open in front of you.
That's disgusting.
The blood dribbles into a cup, and then if you're the guest of honour, they take the still beating heart and they make you drink it from a glass.
Yeah, you see,
That's disgusting.
I've never fancied that.
No.
I've never sort of thought, you know what? I just think it's not holiday, that, it's like endurance.
Well,
I don't,
I'm not suggesting that you would enjoy that. I'm saying that there are many of these interesting, you know, exotic worlds out there. You just stay closeted in your tiny little world and whinge about everyone else. Oh, and this and that. You've got no real empathy. I mean, I went to some extraordinary places in Vietnam. There's quite a lot of floating villages.
Yeah.
Villages that are actually floating on the water where the fishermen
Well, he's
live.
had trouble with his boiler. There was a big leak in your flat, wasn't there?
but that's fine, looking at stuff like that. All I'm saying is, when it comes to the point when I'm getting hungry, don't be serving me a snake's head. I'd love to see a little floating village. But why is it every restaurant you go in, they go, you know, do you want some crispy ant? Sea urchins? You know, some mate had one of them, and he said, it's sort of alive when you're eating it. You have to hit it on the head to knock it out a bit and eat it before it wakes up again. I don't want a meal where you're sort of having to do that to it. I'm not going to enjoy it, thinking, is it waking up yet? I haven't finished my starter. Oh, it's rolling about a bit. Hit it on the head again.
But this shows your ignorance, Karl, because Vietnamese food is not like that at all, is it? I'm just talking about one particular exotic restaurant.